Nearly 6 in 10 millennial workers say they're hoping for an external excuse to leave their current job, like a layoff, rather than quitting on their own. A survey of 2,000 Gen Z and millennial workers by education platform ELVTR found 37% dissatisfied with their roles, 55% unsettled in their careers, and a growing cohort too financially trapped to resign voluntarily. ELVTR CEO has a name for it. They call it career dysmorphia. Their career ladder is failing workers emotionally and structurally collapsing. AI is eliminating the entry-level roles that used to feed the talent pipeline, with 76% of HR professionals surveyed saying AI will significantly reduce hiring. They claim companies can't afford trial and error anymore, so junior hiring is getting more intense and less forgiving. ELVTR CEO says the pyramid structure simply will not exist in the future. The article frames this as a warning for Gen Z specifically. Millennials are clinging to a ladder that's crumbling beneath them. Gen Z may arrive to find there's no ladder at all. Jenni, if 60% of millennials, which I believe you identify as a millennial, are privately hoping for a layoff, what does that tell us about the state of work and workplaces in general?
So I do mildly identify as a millennial. And I think this is more about millennials than probably the state of work and workplaces. So what made me smile about this was like, I'm just sitting here hating this and just hoping that someone's going to either fire me or make me redundant, rather than like proactively looking at what are the different options I could do. Like, could I go and, is there someone that could do some mentoring or some coaching? Like, what could I invest in myself to help me take some proactive action, rather than just, I'm just going to wait here and not do very much until somebody tells me to go away, which I just think, I think it's quite sad. Like, I think the state of work and workplaces is another issue. This is more about people having agency and control over their own lives. And that's kind of the red flag, I suppose, for me, is you can control this. If you don't want to work there, then look at what your other options are. That's what coaching and mentoring exists for, to kind of help with that. So I hope that people will invest in that. And that doesn't have to be a lot of money. Like, you can have a one-off coaching call for a couple of £100. Like, it doesn't have to be thousands and thousands to get that support. But I think it's worth doing stuff like that to really help you. So that's what it made me think about.
I wonder too if I hadn't thought of it in the same way that you just did, where the people, I wondered more, is that people, did they stop and look around and be like, I don't know it's any better than where I am here, so is it going to be good anywhere? But to your point about that investing in yourself, that's something that I've been preaching about for years, and a mutual friend of ours, Heather Wagner, has been talking about for a very long time. If you're not investing in yourself, who is? And if you're waiting for the company to do that, you might be waiting for a very long time, and you're just going to end up staying or sticking around because you frankly don't know what other the options are. Yeah.
And I think it almost smacks of that bigger problem of this existential crisis we have, is what is the meaning of life and purpose for people, which we're not going to cover today. Yeah. But it's, if you're sitting there and thinking, what am I doing this? I'm not enjoying this. What am I doing with my life? Where am I going? And you're just sitting in that circle of doom and going round and round in that. That's where you need to go and have that support and conversation with people to figure that out. I did that, when 9 years ago was when I last had a role that was in-house. I was communications director, and I didn't know what to do. I was like, I'm not really enjoying this. The company had sort of said to me, we don't think we really want a comms director. And I was like, no, you definitely want a comms manager because you're not enjoying the directing. And then we had this sort of conversation about, well, let's recruit someone more junior. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, do I go and get another job like this? Where do I go from here? And I did, I think it was like a 2-hour coaching session to really help me look at my values, look at what was important to me. Could I work on my own? Like, just everything. And it was after that I decided to set up Redefining Communications. But if I hadn't had that 2-hour conversation, I think I'd have just been swimming in my own head for ages. And that is not helpful. So I'm with you on the investment in yourself. I think the Gen Z piece in here is interesting in terms of that ladder and what it means for the next generation coming through. I think that I think we still don't know enough yet in terms of the impact of AI and what that's going to do.
I wonder if even just the phrase corporate ladder is just going to disappear entirely.
Yeah. And also, even if I think about my own career, I don't know about you, but I've always gone horizontal. So even though I've gone up, if you like, to director level, I went from a comms assistant to a media relations advisor to an internal comms officer to an internal comms manager. Like my ladder was definitely wonky, if that makes sense. It definitely wasn't just going straight up. And I don't think that works in our industry anyway. So be interesting to see what it becomes. Maybe it'll be like a corporate trampoline or something. Just bounce around all over the place.
I remember talking to someone at the BBC one time, and they talked about how their careers at the BBC, they described them as being squiggly because you're going between different departments and different roles.
Yeah.
And we actually talked about that at Transform, where companies are, I guess I would say maybe the intelligent companies really don't want you in the same role more than 2 years. They want you doing different things throughout the organization. It's not like I am just a communicator. No, you might do comms for a couple of years. You might go into health and safety for 2 years. You might go into another role for a couple of years because they want you to understand the full business, not just this narrow window.